Can Tampa Bay cover an 8.5-point spread against New Orleans Saints? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a New Orleans Saints Tampa Bay Buccaneers preview. Check the mic, the 33rd team. Let's get into it, shall we, ladies and gentlemen?
Hit that subscribe button right below.
All right, so real quick, I want to give you all a little YouTube advice. This is free advice from the face of the franchise, okay? So they start their videos now with the subscribe call to action, and it takes like the first 7 seconds of the video. Don't do that, all right? That jacks up everything. Messes it up from an algorithm perspective, messes it up from a viewer. A viewer only has like a 5-second, attention span as far as like when they go to a new video. Like they give it about 5-ish seconds of if they're going to watch it or not. If they get hit with that, if their first time viewing, they get hit with that, they're probably gone. Also, the YouTube algorithm can figure out what a video is saying, like what the video is about by what's being said. So if the first 7 seconds are about subscribing and whatever and nothing about the actual video, then the algorithm's not going to know who to push it to or what it is, right? So if you are doing videos, do not start your videos with a call to action, all right? There you go. A little free advice from the superstar.
More games here. New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Bucs. It's Sunday at 1. Tampa favored by 8.5 here. 2-10 Saints at the 7-5 Bucs. With the Panthers on a bye, Panthers are 7-6, a half game behind the Bucs. So the Bucs are either going to be, at the end of the day, tied for first in the South, or they'll have a full game up on Carolina.
Mm-hmm. I'm almost, I don't know what to say about Carolina anymore. I don't. They're
on bye, so we don't have to talk about it.
Good. Tampa Bay, they're a significantly better football team than the Saints, I think. This was one where I was like, it's a pretty big line. I'm like, yeah, the Saints. I'm like, no, they're not going to cover that. The Bucs are significantly better than the Saints.
Bucs struggling a little bit on the defensive side of the ball in recent weeks. I think.
Well, this is something else. I don't mean to be critical, all right, but it is what it is. If you're not sports bettors, don't talk about the spread. We got enough people doing that. All right. I know FanDuel's sponsoring it or whatever. I understand the situation, and they're like, oh, you got to talk. You got to talk about the spread. Got to talk whatever. But come on, guys. Like, let's leave it to the semi-professionals. Okay. What worries me about this game from a New Orleans Saints standpoint is that the Saints. Every game for the Saints is such an evaluation, and it's so important for good performances, especially for like Tyler Shough, right? Like, look, whether you like him or not, whether you're a Spencer Rattler guy or a Tyler Shough guy or indifferent or whatever, the fact of the matter is that Shuck has to have good performances down the stretch, or the Saints could back themselves into taking a quarterback. I'm not saying they should take one, but if they're drafting 2nd overall and Arvell Reese goes 1st overall to Tennessee, what are they going to do? If they can't trade down, they have to do their research on the quarterbacks, okay? Is it insane to think that doing their research on the quarterback, they might be looking at Fernando Mendoza and say, man, this guy's the man. This is who we want. This is who we need, right? If there's no one else there, like if Reese is gone and they're not going to take whoever, Jordan Tyson, 2nd overall, right? Then they could just back into taking a quarterback. The way to stop that is, 1, if Arvell Reese is there. 2 is if Tyler Shough has good performances down the stretch to where they're comfortable moving forward with Tyler Shough and comfortable passing on whoever, whether it's Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza, choose your fighter, all right? What worries me is that this is a very difficult spot to do that. It's a very difficult spot to have success in Tampa against Todd Bowles, against this ferocious front. Vita Vea, not going to be able to run the football. Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks off the team, so it comes down to Chris Olave, Devon Vele, and Juwan Johnson. And can Tyler Shough orchestrate enough of a performance with those weapons to not only win the game, but to help save his job? Difficult ask. It's different when you're facing the Dolphins or the Panthers or the Titans or the Jets or even the Falcons, right? The Falcons is a difficult ask as well. But this is one of those ones where the Saints are up against it in this one. And, I know people are going to come into this game with the idea of like, we better score more than 17 points. It's like this this isn't really the spot. Like this isn't really the spot that you got to put that. I mean, obviously you want to score more than 17 points, but this is a tough one for sure. This is probably the last like truly difficult spot for the Saints.
Tyler Shuck's been okay. Making some nice throws down the field. Got to work on his consistency generally. He did have the bad pick last week against Miami, but he led a nice little comeback for the Saints.
Yeah, he did. The most important thing is we get the second start in his career for Irish kicker Charlie Smith, who I will continue to stand for, even though he ghosted me during the week. Now, maybe he ghosted me. Maybe I don't have his correct phone number. Who can tell? But I sent texts. Texts were not replied.
Is it the wrong Charlie Smith?
I don't know. All I know is I sent some texts. No texts were replied to. That could mean he ghosted me.
God, that's embarrassing.
Mean I have the wrong.
I mean, that's as embarrassing as it gets. You send a text to a kicker on a 2-10 team and get ghosted.
Wrong number.
Damn.
No way of knowing at this point. Well, there is a way of knowing, but I haven't been motivated enough to do anything about it. Anyway, he gets his second start. Apparently a 56-yard field goal was the third longest debut field goal from any kicker in NFL history.
There you go.
He is what?
It's the third longest first kick of any field goal kicker in NFL history.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good going.
Number one for an Irishman.
And then nails his first onside kick as well. I mean, you can't argue with the math.
Can't argue with it. Bucky Irving made his return last week.
Yep.
For the Bucs. I think their run game against the Saints. Trying to just see how Bucky got a big.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Bucky is the Saints' run defense is good. I think we can say at this point. I mean, it's long enough. They're whatever. With Bucky, it's like, all right, well, why would you want to just give him 20 carries? The Buccaneers, they're walking a tightrope. They need to win, but they also need to protect their players, like Baker, Bucky, whatever. I think Rachaad White could get a lot of work this game. In my betting preview, I talked about maybe getting onto Rachaad White yards or things like that. Because if you think the Bucs are going to be up, then they're probably not going to run Bucky Irving 25 times for no reason. Maybe Rachaad White gets some carries at the end of the game or in the second half or whatever. His yards were only like 12.5 last I checked, so pretty low. But that is an interesting angle to attack.
Part of the workload, but they do have that ability to have a little bit of power with Tucker and Rachaad White kind of mix things up. But they went right back to Bucky Irving, and I think the more they feed him, he'll have one of those games where he drops 150 and maybe 50 as a receiver.
He's
one of those Gibbs types of games where you're like, man, this dude's a big play threat. Not the same way, not the same speed as Gibbs, but the same type of big play ability. So another week of Bucky Irving, I think they could have a nice week from him.
Yeah, it is interesting because they have this backfield where all of the running backs are good, and yet when they're all healthy, they do just give the entire workload basically to Bucky Irving.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like Sean Tucker last week, I think had 2 carries.
And then we'll see. Again, this past game for Tampa Bay, Mike Evans is back practicing. He's got the practice window. They might have this culmination point. Jalen McMillan's back practicing. Evans back practicing. Godwin did some nice things last week, minus a drop. Take a little pressure off the first rounder, Emeka Egbuka, and all of a sudden, boom, they're loaded at receiver potentially. And it might not even be the same Mike Evans, but you're still loaded. Like you have a deep threat in Evans, opens things up. Could help Tampa Bay in that pass game peak at the right time, especially with those 2 Panthers games coming up down the stretch.
Yeah, it's definitely the Bucs also have got to be concerned with kind of looking ahead to that Carolina game. I mean, on the one hand, they're probably right to.
I don't think you can truly look ahead when you have to win a game. Like they know they have to win. They have to keep winning to keep Carolina at bay, especially a divisional game. I don't think you can. And Baker doesn't like the Saints for some reason, but I don't think you can look ahead on this game.
I don't know that much
matters the most.
Yeah, like I don't know much means anything other than those games. On the other hand, that you could easily drop one of these next 2 to the Saints or Atlanta, particularly because they're division games, because you're so focused on the Panthers and making sure you win those games.
And then from a Tyler Shough perspective, just another one of those tests going up against the Todd Bowles defense, being able to recognize blitzes, and I don't know if they'll be able to get much going on the ground, so it could be one of those a lot of pressure on the quarterback type of games against Tampa Bay. So nice little.
But it's also like we talked about Tyler Shough earlier, where okay, he has to have a good game. He has to avoid turnovers. He certainly has to avoid that, right? 2 horrific picks last week, a fumble, which, not his fault, whatever, but it counts all the same. The 2 picks were horrible, really bad. And it's like, all right, we gotta see a clean game from Tyler Shough. Okay, well, a difficult time to ask for a clean game is against the Todd Bowles defense on the road. All right, so a lot of what we need to see and a lot of what we're asking for in this game is difficult to come by, which is kind of my main concern with this. And, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, right? But I really hope we get a big performance here from the boys because they need it, and we need it as fans. And, I'm rooting for Tyler Shough. I hope he's the starting quarterback next year. I hope we draft Arvell Reese, or I hope we draft whoever in the draft. But I'm not, I completely understand that if the Saints have the first or second overall pick, they have to truly look at every single draft pick and every possible pick. And sometimes that can lead you into, well, damn, we went to Fernando Mendoza's pro day, and we watched him here, and we interviewed him 10 times, and he came down for a visit, and we like him. And, once you get a quarterback in the room like that, sometimes a coach and a quarterback can just click, and this is a weird metaphor, but I don't care how much you think you love your girlfriend or she loves you or whatever, or boyfriend or vice versa. But if they're forced into going on a date and spending a lot of time with a supermodel or whatever, it's like, you can't feel comfortable about that, right? Like, it is what it is, So if your girlfriend is forced to go spend some quality time with Zac Efron or Glenn Powell, it's like, I know she loves me, but this isn't awesome, right? Like, that's the same thing where we're at with Tyler Shough, where, man, this is a Friday metaphor if I've ever heard one, a metaphor to the max. But yeah, I think the Saints do like Tyler Shough, and yeah, I think they'd be comfortable with him next year, but Kellen Moore watches Fernando Mendoza win the Heisman. When who knows in the playoffs if he goes on some insane run and then all of a sudden he blows them away in the meeting room and they're chopping it up, they're talking shop. He's a Fernando Mendoza, I think, is an accountant. I think that's his degree or whatever. So him and Kellen, just imagine them just drawing up plays to some Aerosmith soundtrack or something. Tyler Shough's looking out the window, he's tapping on the glass, and Kellen Moore pulls the shades down. You know what I mean?
Test for the rookie.
Bowles' defense has to have a really good record against young quarterbacks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, those are the guys that I think he causes the most problems to.
Yeah. Even though they've struggled a little bit in recent weeks. Anyway, Tampa Bay by 8.5.
Like I said, I think the Bucs are just way better than that. I think they're going to win and probably get to double digits.
Man, that's a lot of points. They have not had an efficient passing attack in weeks now. By the way, the Baker injury watch, too. Just keep an eye on everything around that left shoulder. Didn't affect him a ton last week. I thought, man, his best throw was that red zone throw to Chris Godwin. So he showed some good stuff. I would also prefer that he does not scramble as much and lower that shoulder and try to take those big hits like him and Jackson Dart. Just need to chill.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think you're taking that out of Baker at this point.
But I'll take Tampa Bay to cover the 8.5.
Thanks for watching.
So I recently had a left shoulder injury myself. So every once in a while I go to the gym and I hit the bag. I hate doing cardio. Hate it. I never do cardio. But I'm an old man, so I have to keep myself healthy or whatever. So I go and hit the punching bag for my quote-unquote cardio. And I was, getting after it, just whacking that thing. And it was like a scene out of a movie. This hombre walked up to me and was like, "Hey, man, try and do it like this. Like, you got a lot of power, and he was like a boxer. Like, he had like legitimate boxing gear on. I'm just in there wailing away on this bag, trying to break a sweat. And so he's like Mr. Miyagiing me. He's teaching me, here's how you throw your jab, here's how you slip this, whatever. And I thought it was going to be like a 5-minute thing. This guy was super, super nice. If he was watching the channel, this guy was the man. And it turned into like an hour and a half lesson, basically, we did everything from jabs to slipping punches to combos to all this stuff. And I go in there for like 30 minutes. So we do this for like an hour and a half. And I'm sweating everywhere. We're doing all kind of stuff. And, I could feel my arms kind of getting heavy, getting tired, whatever. And we're throwing hooks and uppercuts and all this stuff. So we eventually were out of there. And on my way home, and I walk to and from the gym, downtown New Orleans. On my way home, my left arm, and I'm right-handed, my left arm was completely dead. Completely dead. I mean, it was like hanging down. I couldn't move it. Could not pick it up. And I'm walking back and I'm thinking, well, this isn't good. this isn't good. Like, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you I couldn't pick it up, I couldn't pick it up. And so I'm thinking, did I tear my labrum? Did I tear my rotator cuff? What's going on here? This is not good. It stayed like that for like 3 hours. I couldn't even take my shirt. Like, I couldn't pick my arm up enough to take my shirt off or to wash my hair or like get a cup or whatever. So then I'm researching torn rotator cuffs. How do you test it? And apparently, like, you're supposed to hold like a can or something and hold it straight out and like rotate it. And the way you rotate it can test like, what's hurt or whatever. And after about 3 or 4 hours, I could finally like pick up my arm enough to like hold a can or whatever. And so I knew it wasn't torn, but it was jacked up for a couple of days, and I avoided surgery. But all that to say, I can totally understand where if Baker has that kind of, if it's feeling that bad, which I'm sure his injury is a lot worse than mine, I can absolutely see how, like, when my arm was all jacked up, there's no way I could have like had the proper mechanics to drop back and throw a football. My arm was just dangling around, So totally understand it, how a non-throwing shoulder injury like that for Baker would suck. And so if he's dealing with something like that, yeah, I mean, you definitely want to keep that thing careful. You don't want to take any hits. You don't even want to move it. And I'm sure they have it pretty stable and shooting them up or whatever. But yeah, I mean, and the Buccaneers, if they had more games up, they may even like, hey, Baker, sit for a couple of weeks. Like, we need you in the playoffs or whatever. But now they're staring at this thing like, well, we got to play our guys because we can't miss the playoffs. We can't risk missing the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, all that for naught, right? So, the Buccaneers went from runaway NFC South champions, top 2 seed in the NFC, runaway this, to, hey, man, they might not even win the division. Hey, man, they might not even make the playoffs. So, huge game from the Bucs, huge game just kind of off vibes for the Saints, huge game for Tyler Shough. Every game is a huge game for Tyler Shough moving forward. This is a big one. This is a huge ask for him to solve this puzzle. If he does solve this puzzle being the Todd Bowles defense, if he does solve this puzzle, it's an enormous feather in his cap for where he's at or where he's going in his rookie campaign. Conversely, if he gets Todd Bowles over, I don't know, there's something there. We'll brainstorm it, and he throws 3 picks and whatever, this could be up against it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what the hell was I talking about? Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.